are listening to the most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Oscar's Guitar Shop with Oscar Jordan, right here on LA Talk Radio.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go.
Greetings and salutations. Hey, welcome to another episode of Oscar's Guitar Shop. I'm vintage guitar contributing writer Oscar Jordan, and I am burdened with glorious purpose. Yes, I am. I surely am. Yes, so glad to be here. Welcome to the Sausage Fest, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being you. You're lovely. Nice bowling shirt, sir. Hey, I had the most intense week. I'm telling you, as you know, I'm a contributing writer to Vintage Guitar Magazine. And as you know, that is a hellish nightmare, just interviewing the world's greatest guitar players. Let me give you a lowdown. I interviewed King's ex-guitarist, Ty Tabor. Amazing. Shredder extraordinaire Michael Angelo Badio, Henry Garza from Los Lonely Boys, and the legendary Jakey Lee. Jakey Lee. I interviewed Jakey Lee. Unbelievable. And you know, you heard about that fiasco at the Whiskey last week where cops stormed in and dragged the singer off stage for being crappy. Well, he survived all of that, and he's moving on, and I have an interview coming up with all those people, including Jakey Lee, in an upcoming issue of Vintage Guitar Magazine. So look out, you know. The new album by Jakey Lee, Red Dragon Cartel. It is really, really good. You must check it out. It is smoking hot, and you'll read a review coming up. It's going to be boss. Hey, would you like to help Oscar's Guitar Shop be better than it is? Stay on the air? Well, go to oscarsguitarshop.com. Click donations to the show. Share the magic inside your wallet. Oscar's Guitar Shop is powered by True Tone Music. Visit them at truetonemusic.com, making your music come to life. Also, Performance Guitars, building custom guitars and basses for the biggest names in the music industry since 1976. Visit them at performanceguitars.com. And last but not least, Mojave Ampworks. Visit the Oasis of Tone at mojaveampworks.com. Want to become a sponsor? Would you? Email me at oscarsguitarshop@gmail.com. And now, it's time.
Got a brand new feeling,
Got a brand new groove.
when you do it,
You got to move.
it's a new thing.
When you hear the sound,
Ain't nobody,
gonna hang around.
everybody, do the jungle walk. Everybody, do the jungle walk. Leave your troubles,
Lose your mind.
I just wanna tell you,
What you gonna find?
mama's happy,
Little sister too.
everybody doing it.
You can too.
Everybody, do the jungle walk. the jungle walk. Now, everybody.
Buzz Feiten has the kind of career that could literally fill a phone book. He's literally played with everybody, lending his guitar virtuosity and songwriting skill to some of the greatest albums of all time. He's recorded with such well-known bands and artists as the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, the Rascals, Chicago, Aretha Franklin, Rickie Lee Jones, Bette Midler, Stevie Wonder, Bob Dylan, James Taylor, Boz Scaggs, and that's the short list. He's also fronted his own groups with the Whirlies, Full Moon, and the Larson Feiten Band. And if that's not enough, he's also an accomplished inventor and guitar builder. His Buzz Feiten line of guitars display a keen eye for detail from an artist who knows the ins and outs of live performance, recording, and real-world functionality. His Buzz Feiten tuning system allows you to tune your guitars and basses more accurately, resulting in more accurate tonality. And he's here to tell you about it. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Buzz Feiten.
Thank you. You're too kind.
I am just perfectly kind enough. It was the kindness that was appropriate for your level of career, sir. Hot damn. I was telling my friend Paul Kennedy, who's sitting to my right, he's otherwise known as Cantankerous K in the blues world, bass player for the Blues Marks in the Blues Patrol, John Marks in the Blues Patrol. I've had, this is almost my year anniversary on the show. You are the most decorated guitarist I've ever had. You have done more stuff than anybody. And it's amazing. It's just amazing. How are you?
Well, I'm very well, thank you, and thank you for asking. Actually, I like to think of myself as one of the oldest guitar players living today. I don't know about the most decorated, but definitely one of the oldest.
Wow. Yeah, it's just it's an incredible career, and you've done some amazing things. I need to go backwards now. Let's go back in time to the prodigy years of Mr. Buzz. How did you hook up with Paul Butterfield Blues Band in those days?
Oh man, it's a kind of one of those kind of stories, man. I was living in New York playing French horn. I was attending a conservatory called the Mannes College of Music, which I had been going to for about a year and a half, and a friend of mutual. I was playing French horn, but I was playing guitar constantly. I just, my heart really was not in the French horn. My parents are classical musicians, and so I was kind of beat over the head with it. I really didn't have a choice. I was, my parents just let me know they'd be very disappointed if I didn't pursue music as pursue a career as a classical musician. So I did that, in an effort to please my parents. But I really, I was much more interested in playing guitar. So anyway, and I was also playing bass at that time. So a mutual friend was the wife of one of the Butterfield Blues Band members, and mentioned that Elvin Bishop had just left the band, and was looking to put a band of his own together, needed a bass player. And I was playing bass, so she suggested I go up and audition for Elvin's band playing bass. So I went up there, played bass with Elvin. He liked my playing, but he didn't think I was necessarily right for his band. But he liked my playing enough to recommend me to Paul Butterfield. So he said, we should go down and jam with Butterfield at this club that was then called The Generation.
What year are we talking about?
This is 67. And The Generation was at the corner of 8th Street and Bleecker, which then became Electric Ladyland. But prior to being Electric Ladyland, it was a club called The Generation. So B.B. King was headlining, and I was invited to go jam with the Butterfield Band after hours. So I went down there, and I brought my bass, and I was like 18 or something, and I was like, tuning my bass and so on. I turned around and found myself standing on stage with Butterfield, Al Cooper playing organ, Jimi Hendrix, B.B. King, Elvin, the Butterfield horn section, which was, say, David Sanborn, Gene Dinwiddie, and Trevor Lawrence, and Butterfield's drummer, Philip Wilson. So, and I was playing bass. So we played all night, like till 6 in the morning or something. And there's actually a 2-track tape of that floating around somewhere. Somebody taped it, and it might have been Hendrix, because he would bring a 2-track Revox tape recorder to every jam session and put it on the front of the station, just roll tape, everything, every note he ever played. He played like a Rolling Stone. He played, a couple of songs like that. But, me being, just a kid from Long Island who was playing French horn in a conservatory, this was like I died and went to heaven, So at the end of the night, Butterfield says, oh, yeah, by the way, Elvin told me you'd play guitar also. I said, yeah, I play guitar. He said, why don't you come and audition for the band? So I went up there to his audition hall, which was like one of those real seedy, like rehearsal dance studios on 42nd Street in the middle of the hooker district. And there was like 30 guitar players there. And I was so arrogant and stupid back then that I was not as good as I thought I was. But anyway, I walked in, I said, look, man, I'm not going to wait around behind all these. You got to let me play right now. I'm leaving. So he let me play, and I got the gig.
Wow.
And I think it was, and just about everybody sitting there played way better than me, and I could tell. They all were practicing and playing, and they wanted to play everything right. But I think I had a certain arrogance that he was looking for. He was looking for somebody with an attitude, and that I think that got over in that situation. That they wanted somebody that had a point of view, I guess.
Right. It sounds like that you were just you're just being yourself at the time. I mean, you like a lot. How it is when people go to auditions, just like nervous, and everyone just wants to say the right thing. Yeah. And I got to play this right, and I hope you like me. But you were like, fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. I was a complete idiot too. I mean, I had this. I remember I had a Hohner amplifier that even back then I was messing with stuff. I had a Hohner amplifier that I'd somehow built this really terrible looking plywood cabinet for, and it was just dreadful. And I had some homemade guitar with flames on it, and wore a motorcycle jacket and rode a motorcycle. I thought I was the coolest thing in the world, man. But looking back on it, it was criminal. I mean, what an idiot I was. But I think it really, in that situation, it served me. Later on, I realized what I didn't know. Right. Because after 2-3 gigs, the drummer was throwing drumsticks at me. Everybody was cussing me out because I had no idea how to play rhythm guitar. I didn't even know what rhythm guitar was. As far as I was concerned, playing guitar meant you just start soloing as soon as the downbeat hits, and you stop soloing when the song's over. And that's what I thought about playing. That's as much as I knew about playing guitar. So those guys took me to school in a major way, and it was not a easy road.
Yeah, but what a way to learn.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Because you went on the road with them.
Oh, yeah.
And you played Woodstock with them.
3 months after I got the gig.
You played Woodstock with them?
Yeah.
Holy Christ. And you're still in the learning stage.
Oh, man. I had a learning curve that was very steep.
Man. What was the most valuable thing you picked up in terms of band, learning music, being musical, etc.?
I think I was so lucky because I had those guys in that band welcomed me and mentored me, in a way that, because they knew I didn't know anything. I was just this suburban punk that didn't know jack shit. I really didn't, and they all knew that. No, they weren't stupid. And a lot of these guys were like, these were serious musicians. Guys were in the art ensemble of Chicago, and these guys were into some very deep avant-garde jazz and all kinds of different stuff. And they realized that I didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground, so they would teach me stuff. Like they'd show me songs. Like I remember sitting with David Sanborn, and he'd show me Billy's Bounce, or he'd show me other song. He tried to teach me around midnight, or just some standards that I had no idea. I'd never played any of that music. I had no clue what it was. Or what's that other thing? Spain, and some of those kind of songs I was never exposed to, and I was a sponge back then. I was a sponge. I had to learn everything I possibly could, so I really took it seriously and tried to learn everything they were trying to teach me.
What guitar were you playing back then?
Well, I started out playing a 335. It's actually 345, and that's the guitar I played at Woodstock. But I also had a succession of guitars, including a procession of mid and early 60s Strats, which are currently worth, probably over $100,000 each, which I proceeded to destroy by modifying them. And, I've like I remember sanding through the back of the neck on a 62 Strat, so until the truss rod was exposed, and stuff like that. I mean, I could not leave anything alone. I bought a Les Paul custom.
Hold on, so I have to do this one song, the sound bite, because when you said that, I felt like,
oh my God.
Okay, now I just had to. That's just you're hurting me. It hurts so much.
It is painful to me too. Probably more so for me than for you. Trust me. Anyway, so I could never stop messing with things, and guitars, I was never one of those sentimental people about guitars. To me, vintage guitars, a guitar is a hammer. It's a hammer, and it either works or it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, you throw it away and get another one. And that's kind of how I've always looked at musical instruments. They're a tool, and they're not furniture. And I remember visiting some of these when I was asked to speak at some of these very snotty acoustic guitar festivals and so on, Healdsburg and all that, as for the tuning system, and people would, they would all be holding glasses of Chardonnay and, admiring each other's inlays, and I was thinking, does anybody here play the guitar? And realized, no, they didn't. In fact, there were 4 speakers on the subject of guitar intonation at Healdsburg that year. I was the only one of the 4 that demonstrated a guitar. They picked one up and played it. And I thought that was interesting. There was guys who were, including recognized experts in this field. And I said, well, can I hear one? Can you play it for me? Can I hear what it sounds like? No. No, I can't actually play it for you, but I'm right.
Wow.
So that's when I realized I was onto something. That there was a lot of theory and a lot of opinions that had fallen into common acceptance, common usage, and had become accepted fact that were not in fact true. Like with tuning, we were following these formulas that had just become rigid, like gospel. This is what you do. And yet, me, the guy trying to play the thing in tune, could not get the thing in tune. I just couldn't get it in tune by following the quote-unquote accepted standards for intonation. So I didn't want to digress that much. But
no, it's great because this is perfect. This is going to lead into the next segment. I want to play a song of yours.
Sure.
And then I'm going to do a commercial. And then when we come back, I am going to discuss this whole idea of what is accepted versus what you're sounding like on stage in the reality. Because there is the guy who never played and, bite your tongue, lovey. I am going to discuss guitar without actually playing the guitar. But, anyway, we're going to get into that.
Right.
But I have to play this song. This is a song. It's called, you probably remember this because you played on it, Little Cowboys, from the album Full Moon by Neil Larson and Buzz Feiten. I'm going to play it. We're going to go to commercial. It's going to be very cool. Can you dig it?
I can. Yeah, thanks.
Holy moly. Man. You've got some fleet fingers, sir. That was pretty damn good. That was Neil Larson and Buzz Feiten. That was called Full Moon. Hey, guess what? Performance Guitars has been making hand-built custom guitars and basses since 1976. Their clients have included some of the biggest names in the music industry, including Frank and Dweezil Zappa, Warren DeMartini, Billy Sheehan, Steve Vai, and Joe Walsh. Their attention to detail, craftsmanship, great customer service, and on-site construction has made them a top choice for musicians the world over. Their guitar, amp, and effects repair is second to none. Their Corsair Guitar Series and YB Bass Series was created for the working professional who needs an instrument that can perform in a variety of musical situations. Their Frank Zappa-inspired effects pedals specialize in real, analog, and true bypass sounds. Performance guitars and basses will provide seamless connections between you and the creation of great music. Visit them. I said visit them at performanceguitars.com or call 323-883-0781. That's 323-883-0781. Tell them Oscar sent you. Say, Cooney, what's up? Oscar sent me. And then all will be right with the world. That's correct. So we were talking. People, dude, no flip-flops in here. Please, I don't need to see your feet in the wintertime. It's wintertime. It's wintertime. You don't need to wear flip-flops. Come on. What's wrong with people? Anyway, Mr. Feiten, we were talking about the idea of the non-player making instruments for players versus the player making instruments for players. That's a great story you told. Can you go into more detail about that and your experiences? Sure, absolutely. First of all, I want to qualify that a little bit. I don't want to position myself, try to position myself as knowing everything there is to know about guitar. For sure, I don't. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I'm awestruck by how much I learn every day about this that I didn't know. And there's a lot of incredibly talented people making guitars and have been for many, many years, Mm-hmm. And so I'm not one of those people that says, they're all full of shit, they don't know anything, I'm the only expert. That's not the case. I mean, I was inspired by and continue to be inspired by, the people that make guitars, and there are lots of really, really talented people that do know what they're doing as far as making guitars. Of course. Mm-hmm. So I'm not that presumptuous to think that. But that being said, I can say that I do feel qualified as an end user. I feel that I'm qualified to make observations as an end user about what works and what doesn't work. That I can say, honestly. That I've had enough experience, both in the studio and stage and, every environment you can be in as a musician, as a guitarist, to know what's going to work and what's not going to work. Mm-hmm. At least, in a practical way, And of course, every guitar player has their own set of preferences, as far as what they prefer, the kind of setup they like, kind of strings they like, kind of guitar they like to play, and so on. But there are certain things that are common to all guitars, to all, every guitar. One of which, they all have strings, they all have to be tuned. There's tuning issues. There's, for electric guitars, they all have pickups. They all, you're either going to sit with it or you're going to stand with it. They all have some sort of switching arrangement, so that you can get a variety of tones out of them and so on. So, I've always been interested, since I was 14, in trying to improve things, trying to make things better for me, mostly. I didn't set out to, invent anything or to, position myself as an expert on anything. Certainly not. I was just trying to make my guitars better so that I'd have more fun and be more productive as a guitar player. Mm-hmm. You have your own guitar line. And yes. They all feature the tuning system that you created. What is the difference between?
Well, no, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
They don't.
Not?
No,
they don't all feature the tuning system.
No,
Okay.
they don't all feature the tuning system. I've developed sort of an alternative way. The tuning system was great back in '94,
right,
when I first developed it, and there's a lot of manufacturers that use it, and very successfully, and it works really, really well. For my guitars, I've been, constantly evolving and fine-tuning, the issue of tuning and intonation. And I've tried to, I've incorporated a system on these guitars that's a little simpler in that it allows for a wider range of tuning. You don't have to tune quite as precisely, and the guitar is still going to sound really pleasant. Mm-hmm. So I've tried to, to approach the issue of intonation from that angle, to try to make it a little bit looser, a little bit more user-friendly, because with tuning, it gets into an area where the degree of accuracy required to tune the guitar, sometimes exceeds the capability of the player. Mm-hmm. To tune that accurately and that precisely. So, when I pick up a guitar to play it, I don't fuss with the tuning. I really just try to pick it up and play it. And if it sounds decent, if it sounds pleasantly in tune, I don't go any farther. I don't look at things with a microscope and trying to analyze. I try to use my ears and try to make it sound as good as I can. And once again, tuning is like focusing a camera. In my opinion, with standard, unmodified, unadjusted intonation, the way the currently accepted standards, the guitar is like a slightly out of focus photograph. The tuning, and when you apply some of these subtle corrections to it, it doesn't get quote unquote perfect. It just gets pleasant. Mm-hmm. And that's the goal for me, is to make things sound pleasant, both in terms of tuning and in other ways. So the tuning is just one aspect of it, and the adjustments that are made to the Buzz Feiten guitars are designed to make the guitar, first of all, user friendly, easy to tune, and pleasant sounding. And that's pretty much it. And I don't even like to go deeper with tuning. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Tuning is just like a given. The guitar has to be in tune. It has to sound good when you pick it up and strum a G chord, strum a D chord, strum an A chord. Those first position chords, all those have to sound good, and and all the intervals have to sound reasonable. So the different chord shapes all sound reasonably and pleasantly in tune. Mm. So, and to me, that's it. That's it. I don't think I'm any different than anybody else. I think we all just want to pick up a guitar and have it be fun. And the only time tuning becomes an issue is when something sounds bad. So if the whole guitar sort of holistically is pleasant to play, we're done. We don't need to go any deeper into the subject. But in order to get there, in order for the guitar to be actually pleasant to play and to tune, it does require a very high degree of accuracy as far as the manufacturing of it and as far as the setup. Those are two critical key parts of the puzzle. But so that being said, the Buzz Feiten guitars use my current version of a tuning system, not the Buzz Feiten tuning system. Right.
Yeah, there's some clips on YouTube of you performing with various models in your series and your line, and I got to say, they just sound so rich. They're very rich sounding.
Thank you.
There's some you're playing against some backing tracks, some bluesy kind of things, and some rock things, and they just sound really good. And they're striking and they're original looking without looking like they're from Venus.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
they've got a great look to them as well, as a kind of traditional vibe. I'd like to play another song.
Sure.
And then I'm going to go to a quick commercial. This next song is cool, very cool. It's In and Out of Love from the album Peaceful World by the Rascals. You were in the Rascals.
Oh my God.
Amazing. So I'm going to play this cool tune. We'll be right back, and I hope you dig it.
If you don't think you want me, baby, won't you please let me know? I don't want to stay here if you're fixing to go. So please have mercy, baby, 'cause you know that my mind is wrong. If you don't think you want me, baby, won't you please just leave me alone? I said love, baby, in and out of love. I said love, baby, in and out of love. The world is coming down for you. I can hardly stop it. I think that my heart gonna break in two if you should have to drive it. Love, baby, in and out of love. Baby, I said love, baby, in and out of love. Moon is falling down for you. I can hardly stop it. I think that my heart gonna break in two if you should have to drive it. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah. I know that you love me, but the world has its charms, and I'm always so happy now to be in your arms. So please have mercy, baby, 'cause you know that my mind is wrong. If you don't think you want me, baby, just please leave me alone. I say love, baby, in and out of love. Ooh, yeah, I say love, baby, in and out of love. Whoa, whoa, love, baby, in and out of love. Gotta tell you, baby, I said baby, in and out of love. Love, baby, in and out of love. Gotta tell you, I said slow, baby, in and out of love.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Why wouldn't you dig it? Why wouldn't you? That's the question. What's not to like? People. Man, I told you, massive resume, the most decorated player ever on the show. True Tone Music is a virtual candy store for guitarists and bass players. They're world famous for having the best selection of new and used and vintage guitars in the Los Angeles area. Located at 714 Santa Monica Boulevard in the city of Santa Monica, True Tone Music offers the widest selection of exceptionally high-quality guitars and basses. They stock name brands like Fender, Gibson, Epiphone, Gretsch, and much, much more. Check out their wide selection of Martin acoustic guitars. Martin is the leading manufacturer of steel string flat top acoustics and synonymous with handcrafted excellence. True Tone Music is where the top names in the music industry shop for guitars, basses, amps, and boutique pedals. They'll also match any online price and back it up with top-notch customer service and support. Visit them online at TrueToneMusic.com or call 310-393-8232. That's 310-393-8232. Ask for Ken and tell him Oscar sent you. That's me. Yeah. You probably met Ken one or two times, right? Haven't you, Mr. Buzz?
Oh, listen, Ken it has been an incredible support to me, not only as a player. Ken used to come out every single week when I was playing with my band, the Whirlies, down in the Santa Monica Pier. He came every single week, all summer. He'd be there every week, just to hang and to listen to music. So he's really been supportive of me as a player for forever. And when I showed him what I was doing with making guitars, he jumped on it and with both feet. And he was the first guy to do that. He said, "Hey man, this is really something different. This is a guitar that was designed by a guy with a lot of experience, and that makes it different than the other manufacturers." So it's my point of view, and it's my preferences, and it's the way my wish list as far as what the guitar that I want to see. So Ken was really and has been and continues to be an incredible support for the guitars. In fact, I went up. It's a funny story. I went up there just to show him what I was doing. I brought like 8 guitars that I've been working on, and because I build, we have people that build them, and I build, with them, and I have my hands on every single guitar we sell. But there's a certain percentage of them that I really do from scratch, and I brought him these guitars up there, and to show him. And one of his customers walked in, and Ken said, "Hey, come on over, man. Let me introduce you to Buzz." So, long story short, the guy ended up buying 5 guitars.
Wow.
Yeah, in a week. He bought one, and he came back and bought another one, and then he bought another 3, and he bought another. One guy in a week. So, I can't say enough about Ken Daniels. He's just, he recognizes when things are really cool. That's the thing that makes True Tone different, and that's why that's the only place I'll go as far as place to shop, is that he gets it that that I'm doing something different, and those guys, all of them in that place, they know what they're talking about. Every sales guy in there knows what he's talking about. They're not going to give you any bad information just to sell you something.
That's true.
And they will never pressure you. They'll let you sit there for days if you need to.
I know.
So
that's one thing I can say. Unlike some other guitar stores where I have been stalked,
they stalk
and photographed,
either that or
and
ignored,
fingerprinted, and cavity searched.
Right. Yeah.
Not at True Tone.
Yeah.
They let you go, let you have comfort.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a cool thing.
The thing, I think the word is respect. Those guys respect their customers. They respect you, and that's a different deal. Anyway, Ken, like I said, Ken's been incredibly supportive, and also he's given me a lot of really good feedback as far as the guitars that I'm building now. As far as what customers want, what they expect. In a guitar kind of in that price range, and has also given me a lot of good input about what to charge for the guitars and what the customer should expect to get. I've developed my own pickups, which I'm really, really proud of. We just got a 4-page review in Guitar Player Magazine by Art Thompson, and Art not only gave us the Editor's Pick Award for one of our 5 models, but also ended up buying the review guitar.
Wow.
Which was the most... I felt better about that than almost anything since I've been making guitars. That Art, who, that guy sees more guitars
than
he
does.
And the fact that he said, "Hey, I have to have this guitar,"
Because when you're a gear reviewer... I'm a gear reviewer. You hate gear.
Yeah, you hate it.
You hate it after a while.
Don't give me any more stuff.
Please, I hate gear. And you give me all this stuff, and I'm so sick of it, but it's our job, and we have to do our job.
Right.
But for him to do that, that's amazing.
It was awesome.
That says a lot about your product.
And he also gave me the most incredible quote. It wasn't even a quote he offered officially. He sent it to me in an email. He said, "By the way, the T-Pro is an absolutely inspiring guitar to play." And that sentence... absolutely inspiring, those words, that made me feel like I'd done my job. Like that as a designer, that he got it on a gut level, that's what the guitar is there for. It's to be inspiring. It's to inspire you. It's not to, look great or, any other purpose. It's there to inspire you as a player.
Or it shouldn't be a workout to play. It should make you want to make music.
Yeah.
And that's my little pet peeve with all this gear crap.
Right.
It's like, where's the music?
Right.
Listen to my tone. Where's the song, man?
Well, here's the thing.
Make a song. Sounds good, you know?
This is, this is where I'm coming from, and I think we're on the same page with this, because inspiration, the idea of inspiration, is incredibly fragile and momentary. As you know, I'm sure you've written songs, and I'm sure you've all that. That initial inspiration is fleeting. It's going to be gone in 10 seconds if you don't jump on it. So that's why I don't have like some massive Pro Tools rig that I need to set up for 45 minutes before I can play. I've got like a notepad recorder that I can it's always set up with an amp, mic'd up in an amp box, everything ready to go. All I got to do is push play and auto punch, and I do it that way so that I don't lose that moment, because that moment is precious. The moment of inspiration is precious, and you have to respect that. And that's also why I design guitars, because the act of playing guitar, and being inspired to play the guitar is very it's very fleeting. It's not. You can't depend on it to be there every single time. You're going to have bad nights, good nights, and everything in between. So you want an instrument that's going to be reliably inspiring. That every time you pick it up, hey man, this is cool, and where I don't want to put it down. That's the feeling that I need to get from an instrument. That I don't want to put this down. Yeah. If I have to wait for lunch or whatever, I don't want to put this thing down. It's just too much fun to play. So that's why I personally do the final setup on all Buzz Feiten guitars, because I've learned some things that made me realize that every single guitar that I pick up is trying to tell me something. Mm-hmm. That guitar is trying to tell me something different. Each guitar has a little voice that's trying to come out, and I feel like my job as a luthier is to try to use all that experience, both in adjusting the truss rod and the string height and the intonation and the pickups. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm sure there's not a lot of us that adjust the pole pieces on a humbucking. I voice the pickups by, adjusting the pole pieces on humbucking, because one of the things I learned from doing it a million times is that makes a huge difference. Huge.
Yeah,
it's not just like one string's louder than the other. It changes the impedance of the pickup, or the way the pickup reacts. So those are things that you can only do if you've had a lot of experience in doing it. Those are things that you couldn't expect some assembly line worker, for instance, to voice a pickup. They wouldn't have any idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. I hate to be all tangential.
No, man.
As a Tina,
please do.
Tangent maker of tangents. Yeah. But we're almost done with the show, and I have to ask you this, because you played with a bazillion people, but you played with one of my favorite artists. Okay. And Paul, you know who that is, don't you?
No, Oscar, tell me.
You played with Rickie Lee Jones.
I sure did.
What was that like? Briefly, because we're wrapping up in a few minutes.
Rickie Lee Jones, in my humble opinion, is just my experience. It was the most talented artist I ever was around, that I ever had the privilege to stand next to on stage, in any genre, any instrument, whatever. Rickie Lee, in my opinion, is one of the monstrously talented, great, and influential songwriters and artists of our time, in my opinion. And I think she changed the genre forever. And she did it at great personal sacrifice. Rickie Lee is not, her life has not been a day at the beach.
It has not.
It's not been easy being her, And some of us are tortured by creative demons, and I think that Rickie Lee is one of them. And that's why she writes such incredibly great songs, because she's willing to risk going deeper than most people are willing to go to get at some kind of core intuitive truth, for
Yeah,
her.
she, as I say in the 50s, she sends me.
Totally.
I play her music still all the time, and I am deeply in love with her. I wish she would come on my show one of these days. Anyway, I need to cut to another tangent. What's going on with you next? What can we expect from you in the future? What's new and exciting?
Well, there's all kinds of stuff. There's a couple of things I can't talk about.
It's okay. It's just us three.
Yeah.
No one is listening to the show.
Exactly. No, there's one thing. I'm working with a couple artists, or actually an artist that I can't mention right now, but that stay tuned.
Okay.
The other thing is I've been off on a mission to improve a couple of things on the guitar that could have some consequences in a good way for all of us, hopefully, that you haven't seen yet from me. And, so also stay tuned as far as that's concerned. So I'm constantly, evolving. So there might be a couple of new guitar-related products, but until then, I'm grateful to be asked to be on your show, Oscar, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being on my program. I very much appreciate it. Buzz Feiten, thank you much. Thank you so very much. It's an honor to have you on my show. I'd like to thank our guest, Buzz Feiten. Set mind to purpose and visit him at buzzfeiten.com and purchase every piece of music and guitar he has ever created. What's that? Oh, buzzfeitenguitars.com. He just corrected me. I sit corrected. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Performance Guitars, building custom guitars and basses for the biggest names in the universe since 1976. Also, True Tone Music. Visit them at truetonemusic.com. And last but not least, Mojave Ampworks. Visit the Oasis of Tone at mojaveampworks.com. Want to become a sponsor? Yes, you can. Email me at oscarsguitarshop@gmail.com. Tune in next week when our guest will be King's ex-guitarist, Ty Tabor. Take care of yourselves. Be nice to each other. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.